Disney princesses quickly become idols to little girls who dream of finding their Prince Charming and living there happily ever after. But little do they know, the Disney fairy tales they've come to love are darker than they appear. Based on grim and disturbing tales, the ever-afters in the original stories aren't so happy. Today we divulge 10 dark secrets of everyone's favorite Disney princesses. 10 dark secrets of Disney princesses. Sleeping Beauty. The origin of Disney's Sleeping Beauty is far from the tale we know. In Giambattista Basili's original story, Sleeping Beauty is raped by the king during her cursed sleep and wakes up when one of her baby twins sucks the flax from the spindle out of her finger. When she wakes up, the king returns and Sleeping Beauty ends up falling in love with the man who raped her, who is also married to another woman. His wife tries to kill the princess and have the twins cooked and fed to the king. Her nasty attempts fail and Sleeping Beauty marries the king. Twisted, to say the least. Snow White. In the original Brothers Grimm story, the evil queen's stepmother is much more evil than in the Disney version. Just like in the movie, she demands a hunter to kill Snow White in the forest, but on top of that, she also asks him to bring back Snow's lungs and liver so she can eat them for dinner. When the hunter fails to do his duty, the queen tries 2 more times to murder Snow, the 3rd time with the poisoned apple we know from the Disney version. Snow faints and doesn't wake up until she's being jostled around while being taken home by the prince. The reason he's bringing home a seemingly dead girl is another problem all in itself. The Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen's version of The Little Mermaid did not have Ariel living the happily ever after we know from Disney. Instead of ending up with the prince, the Little Mermaid dissolves into sea foam. It was either that or kill her prince. How does this ultimatum come to be? Like in the movie, the Little Mermaid can be a human only if she gets the prince to fall in love with her, but without her tongue that has been cut out by the sea witch, that proves to be impossible. And yes, she's been given legs, but every step she takes feels like she's walking on shards of glass. The sea witch ordered her to kill the prince or to turn into sea foam. She chooses sea foam and is trapped in a limbo for eternity. Cinderella. The Brothers Grimm tale of Cinderella is quite gruesome and disturbing. To fit into the glass slipper, one of the stepsisters cuts off her toes and the other cuts off her heel. Ouch. The prince eventually realizes the owner of the slipper is Cinderella after finding blood on the shoe. Realizing they better suck up to Cinderella, the sisters attend her wedding and end up having their eyes pecked out by birds. There's really no question why these things didn't make the Disney version cut. Beauty and the Beast. Disney's version of Beauty and the Beast is pretty similar to the story written by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont, which is based on the original tale by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve. However, in the first version, Belle has 2 evil stepsisters. The Beast allows her to go home, but only for a week. Her sisters are jealous of her life and try to make her stay longer so that the Beast kills and eats her alive. What are sisters for anyways? In another twisted version, the Beast's captive cuts off her hands to make herself less attractive to her father and brother. Tangled. We all know Tangled is based on Rapunzel, and both stories have been toned down considerably from the Brothers Grimm version. In the original tale, the evil witch locks Rapunzel in a tower and the prince knocks her up in a forbidden visit. When the witch finds out, she chops off Rapunzel's hair and sends her far away, where she feeds her children by begging. The prince is lured to the tower by Rapunzel's chopped off hair, and after the witch tells him he'll never see her again, he jumps out of the window and is blinded by thorns. They eventually find each other, so this is one time where the princess does get her happily ever after. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Esmeralda and Quasimodo both face grim ends in the original story of The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. In the tale, Frollo devises an evil plan to frame Esmeralda for an attack on Captain Phoebus, the man who she ends up with in the Disney version. For this attack, she is sentenced to death and Quasimodo ends up laying by her grave and starving himself to death. Pocahontas. Disney's version of Pocahontas leaves out some gruesome details of her life. Captured by the English at the age of 17, Pocahontas was held for ransom. Her husband was killed and she was raped repeatedly and became pregnant. To make the pregnancy seem legitimate, she was forced into Christianity and married to an English tobacco farmer named John Rolfe. After 2 years on their way from England to Virginia, Pocahontas dies a tortuous death, vomiting and convulsing after dinner one night. In the book The True Story of Pocahontas, The Other Side of History, by Linwood Costello and Angela L. Daniel, her murder is maliciously plotted. The Princess and the Frog. Based loosely on the Brothers Grimm The Frog Prince, Disney's The Princess and the Frog follows a similar storyline. In both tales, once the princess kisses the frog, he will turn into a prince. But in the original, the princess is less than happy to help a fella out. She hurls the frog against the wall to break his curse. In some versions, his skin is burned or his head is chopped off. How vicious, especially for a princess. Mulan. Disney's version of Mulan paints her as a strong, progressive character who becomes a warrior and wins the heart of a gorgeous general. In the original story, an ancient Chinese ballad called Hua Mulan, she also returns home safely to her family, so that part is accurate. However, she comes home to a broken family, becomes a concubine, and ends up committing suicide. Poor Mulan. What do you think about these gruesome stories? Let us know below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Taco.